Billy sat beside Ian's wheelchair, watching his eyes move across the communication screen. Ian could no longer type with his hands, so the eye-tracking device followed his gaze and slowly formed each word. "Ian, do you feel bad about being so hard on Aaron?" Billy asked. "Be real with me." Ian stared at the screen for several seconds before the mechanical voice spoke. "Because of his TBI, yes, but everything else, no." Billy frowned. "Why not?" Ian's eyes moved again. "One day, Jeff or Frank won't be there to save him." Billy leaned forward. "You had Rod, you have me, and you have your sisters." Ian's expression tightened when Billy mentioned Rod. The pain of losing his husband was still there, even though Ian rarely allowed himself to show it. "Aaron had help before his parents died," Ian typed. "He was a trust fund kid, I'm not, that's the difference. My limitations came over time, his were there since birth." Billy shook his head. "That doesn't mean his life was easy." "I know," Ian answered, "but Aaron expects someone to catch him every time he falls. Jeff catches him, Frank catches him, his parents caught him before they died. What happens when nobody is standing there?" "Maybe he's scared of that too." Ian looked away from the screen. Before he could respond, Fran walked into the room. "Ian, stop being a dick to him," she said. Ian immediately turned his eyes toward the screen. "His brother brought him here, I told him the truth. He was an ass to me in my own home, and now I'm supposed to be nice to him." Fran folded her arms. "There's a difference between telling the truth and trying to hurt somebody." "Do you two even hear yourselves?" Ian typed. "He comes into my house, disrespects me, and acts like everyone is supposed to protect him. Then I'm the problem because I finally said something back." "Yes, I hear myself," Fran replied. "Aaron was wrong for disrespecting you. Nobody is saying he was, but you attacked the weakest parts of him because you knew it would hurt." "I told him what nobody else will." "No," Fran said, "you told him what you knew would scare him. One day Jeff or Frank won't be there. That isn't fear, that's reality." Fran stepped closer to Ian's wheelchair. "One day Billy or your sisters might not be here either. Would you want someone throwing that in your face?" Ian stopped typing. Billy lowered his head, knowing Fran had struck something deep. After several seconds, Ian's device spoke again. "That is different. It's only different because it's happening to you." "He had help before his parents died," Ian typed. "He always had money, he always had people. My body slowly took everything from me. I had to watch myself lose my voice, my hands, and my independence." Fran's expression softened, but her voice remained firm. "None of that gives you permission to treat Aaron like garbage. He treated me like garbage first. Then be angry about what he actually did. Don't attack him for his TBI, don't attack him for needing care, you need care too." Ian's eyes snapped toward her screen. "I am not like him." "No, you aren't," Fran said, "but you're acting exactly like the people who made you feel ashamed when your body started changing." The room went silent. Ian stared at the screen, but no words appeared. Billy finally spoke. "She isn't saying Aaron was right, she's saying you crossed a line." Ian closed his eyes. When he opened them, he began typing again. "I know I'll probably die before any of you, but Aaron doesn't have a disability that will kill him." The room became completely still. Billy looked toward the floor. Fran's face softened further. "Ian." "No," Ian typed. "You keep comparing us as if we're the same. We are. Aaron may need help for the rest of his life, but his TBI isn't slowly shutting down his body. He doesn't wake up wondering what he'll lose next. He doesn't wonder when he won't be able to breathe on his own." Billy moved closer. "That still doesn't mean he isn't scared." "I never said he wasn't scared." "Then what are you saying?" Fran asked. "I'm saying everyone treats him like he has the worst life in the room." "Nobody said that." "You don't have to say it, I can see it." Billy reached for Ian's hand, then stopped when he remembered Ian could no longer move it. "Aaron needing help doesn't take anything away from what you're going through." Ian's eyes filled with tears. "It feels like it does." "Why?" Fran asked. Ian took a long time before answering. "Because when Aaron gets scared, everyone runs to him. When I get scared, everyone tells me I'm strong." Fran's expression changed immediately. "Ian, we don't say that because we don't care." "I know, but sometimes I don't want to be strong. Sometimes I want somebody to admit this is killing me." Fran placed her hand against his shoulder. It is killing you, she said quietly, and I hate that, I hate every part of it. Ian closed his eyes as tears rolled down his face. But Aaron's condition doesn't have to kill him for his pain to be real, Fran continued. I know. Then stop punishing him because you think he has more time than you. Ian's eyes returned to the screen. I'm angry that he has time. Billy's eyes began to water. There it is, he whispered. You aren't really mad that Aaron needs help, you're mad because he might still be here after you're gone. Ian's jaw tightened. Yes. Fran pulled her chair closer. You're allowed to be angry about dying. I'm terrified, Ian typed. Billy leaned down and rested his forehead against Ian. You don't have to act cruel just to prove you're terrified. Ian began crying harder. I don't know how else to say it. Start with the truth, Fran said, not the truth about Aaron, the truth about you. Ian's eyes slowly moved across the communication screen. Billy, try to get Jeff to bring Aaron here, I feel bad now, I didn't see it that way at the time. Billy stared at him. You really want Aaron to come back? Yes. Fran stayed beside Ian's chair. What are you going to say to him? I don't know yet. Then don't plan a big speech, Fran replied, tell him the truth. Ian typed again. I was angry, I thought everyone cared more about his pain than mine. And now, Billy asked. Now I understand that I used his disability to hurt him because I was scared. That's what you need to tell him, Fran said. I still think he was wrong for how he acted in my home. You can tell him that too. Apologizing doesn't mean pretending he did nothing wrong. Billy pulled out his phone. Do you want me to call Jeff now? Ian immediately selected yes. Billy called and placed the phone on speaker. After several rings, Jeff answered. Hello. Jeff, it's Billy. Jeff's voice became guarded. What do you need? Ian wants to talk to Aaron. There was a long silence. Aaron doesn't want to go back there, Jeff said. Ian began typing. Billy held the phone near his device. I understand, but please ask him, I need to apologize. Jeff let out a slow breath. He cried the entire ride home. Ian closed his eyes. I know, I'm sorry. You aren't the one who had to calm him down, Jeff said. You didn't have to listen to him ask whether Frank and I were going to leave him. Ian's breathing became heavier. I didn't understand what I was doing at the time. You understood enough to know exactly what would scare him. Ian stared at the screen before answering. Yes, you're right. Billy and Fran exchanged a surprised look. I was jealous because Aaron might live longer than me, Ian continued. I was angry that when he gets scared, everyone comforts him while people tell me to stay strong. None of that was Aaron's fault. Jeff remained quiet. I'll ask him, he finally said, but I'm not forcing him to come. Don't force him. If he says no, tell him I understand. I will. The call ended. Across town, Jeff walked into Aaron's room. Aaron sat beside Frank, focused on something on the table. Aaron, Jeff said. Aaron looked up and moved his eyes toward his communication device. Frank and I are doing something, what do you want? Jeff hesitated. Ian just called, he wants to apologize to you. Aaron stared at him for a moment before laughing. He wants to repent for his sins before he croaks, Aaron typed. I'm good, bro. Jeff sighed. Aaron, he admitted he was wrong. Good for him. He feels terrible about what he said. I felt terrible when he said it. Frank stayed quiet, letting Aaron speak for himself. Jeff moved closer. He said he was jealous because you might live longer than him. He said he took his anger out on you. Aaron gave another bitter laugh. So because he's dying, he gets to make me feel like everybody I love is going to leave me. No, that isn't what I'm saying. It sounds like it. I'm not defending him, Jeff said. What he did was cruel. Then why are you asking me to go back? I'm not asking you to forgive him. I'm asking whether you're willing to hear him. No. Jeff stood in silence. He told me one day you and Frank wouldn't be there to save me, Aaron continued. He knew my parents were dead. He knew I already worry about losing both of you. Frank placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. He wanted me scared and it worked. He admitted that, Jeff said. That doesn't erase it. No, it doesn't. Frank finally spoke. You don't have to see him today. You don't have to see him at all until you're ready, An apology is something Ian owes you. Listening to it is not something you owe him. Jeff slowly nodded. Frank's right. Aaron typed again. Tell Ian I heard he wants to apologize. Tell him I'm not ready. I can do that. And tell him dying doesn't make him the only scared person in the world. I'll tell him. Aaron returned his attention to the table. Jeff began to leave, but Aaron's device spoke again. Jeff. Jeff turned. Yes. Are you and Frank going to leave me? Jeff's heart dropped. He immediately walked back and knelt beside Aaron's chair. No, we are not leaving you. Aaron looked toward Frank. Frank squeezed his shoulder. I'm right here. Aaron stared at them before typing quietly. Okay. Then he looked back toward Jeff. Thanks for asking and not pulling me out of bed like a kid who doesn't want to go to school. Jeff gave him a small smile. You're welcome. I mean it, a lot of people decide things for me because they think they know what's best. I know I've done that before. Yes, you have. Frank tried not to laugh. Jeff glanced at him. Thanks for the support. Frank raised his hands. I didn't say anything. You usually treat my no like it means maybe, Aaron typed. Jeff sat beside him. I'm trying to stop doing that. Even if you think I'm making the wrong choice. Even then, you're allowed to make your own decisions. Frank leaned against the table. As long as it isn't dangerous. There's always a catch with you too. There are safety rules, Frank said. That's different. Aaron rolled his eyes. I wanted you to hear Ian out, Jeff said, but I'm not going to drag you there. Good, because I would make the entire ride miserable. I believe you. Aaron's smile faded. I might talk to him one day. That's up to you. But not because everyone feels bad for him. I understand. I feel bad that he's dying, I really do, but I'm still mad. You're allowed to feel both, Frank said. Aaron looked between them. Tell him I'm not ready, but don't tell him never. Jeff nodded. I'll tell him exactly that. 3 days later, Aaron found Jeff in the kitchen. If seeing Ian is still on the table, I'm not as mad as I was, Aaron typed. Call him before I change my mind again. Jeff stopped what he was doing. You're sure? I just said call him before I change my mind. Right, sorry. Frank entered the kitchen. What happened? Aaron wants to see Ian, Jeff said. Frank turned toward Aaron. You ready for that? No, but I think I need to hear what he has to say. Jeff pulled out his phone. Do you want him to come here or do you want to go to his house? I'm not going back to his house yet, he can come here. That's fair. And Billy, Bob, or Fran needs to come with him. If Ian starts acting like an asshole again, somebody needs to take him home before I say something worse. Frank tried to hide a smile. That sounds reasonable. Jeff called Billy and placed the call on speaker. Billy answered after a few rings. Hello. Billy, it's Jeff. Aaron wants to know whether Ian still wants to apologize. There was a brief silence. Yes, Billy said. He asked about Aaron every day. Aaron looked away, but his face softened slightly. Aaron is willing to see him, Jeff said, but Ian has to come here. That's fine. And Aaron wants someone to come with him. I'll make sure Bob comes, Billy said. When? Today, Aaron typed, before I start thinking too much. Jeff repeated it. We can be there this afternoon, Billy replied. Ian will want to know what he should say. Tell him not to practice some fake speech, Aaron's device said loudly enough for Billy to hear. I want him to talk to me, not perform for everybody. I'll tell him. And tell him I'm coming into this calm, he needs to do the same. I understand. Jeff ended the call. You know you can still change your mind, Frank said. I know. And you don't have to forgive him today. I know that too. Jeff crouched beside the wheelchair. I'm proud of you for giving him a chance. Don't make this into some inspirational disability moment. I was only saying I'm proud of you. I know it sounded weird. Frank laughed. I'm doing this because what Ian said is still stuck in my head, Aaron continued. I want to hear him admit it to my face. Then that's what today is about, Jeff said. What if he cries? Then he cries, Frank replied. What if I cry? Then you cry too. Aaron looked between them. And neither of you jumps in unless I ask. This is between me and Ian. You can stay in the room, but let me talk. Frank nodded first. Deal. Jeff hesitated, then nodded. Deal. Later that afternoon, Frank opened the front door. Ian, Bob, Aaron is in the living room, come in. Bob guided Ian's wheelchair through the doorway. Jeff followed them into the living room where Aaron was waiting with his communication device positioned in front of him. The moment he saw Ian, his expression hardened. Ian stopped several feet away. Neither man typed anything for several seconds. Then Aaron's eyes moved across his screen. You came to repent for your sins before you die. The device paused. What motherfuckers? Aaron, Jeff warned. Aaron looked sharply at him. You said you wouldn't jump in. Jeff closed his mouth. Ian stared at Aaron. The insult clearly hurt, but he did not look away. I deserve that, Ian typed. Aaron gave a humorless laugh. That's your apology. No, that is me admitting I gave you a reason to hate me. I don't hate you, I just don't trust you. I understand. Do you? Ian began typing carefully. I used your TBI against you. I told you Jeff and Frank wouldn't always be there because I knew losing them was something you feared. Aaron's jaw tightened. I pretended I was telling you the truth, Ian continued. I was trying to scare you because I was angry and jealous. Jealous of what? Aaron typed. My brain injury, my seizures, needing someone to wipe my ass. Frank looked down but respected Aaron's request and stayed silent. Jealous that you might have more time than me, Ian answered. Aaron's anger flickered. I know your life isn't easy, I knew it then too, but I was angry because your disability isn't killing you and mine is. Bob placed a hand on the back of Ian's wheelchair. Ian's eyes filled with tears. When you get scared, people comfort you. When I get scared, people tell me to be strong. I blamed you for that, even though it wasn't your fault. Aaron looked away. You came into my life and told me the two people I have left would disappear. I know. My parents are dead. I know. You knew that before you said it. Yes. Then don't sit there acting like you didn't understand. I understood that it would hurt you, Ian admitted. I didn't understand how deeply it would stay with you. It stayed. I'm sorry. The room fell silent. I'm sorry for using your disability to make you feel helpless, Ian continued. I'm sorry for making you question Jeff and Frank. I'm sorry for acting like my illness made my pain more important than yours. Aaron's eyes watered. Dying doesn't make you a saint. I know. It doesn't mean everybody has to forgive you. I know that too. Then why are you here? Because you deserve to hear me admit what I did without defending myself. Aaron's anger had not disappeared, but its sharpness began to fade. And what about how I treated you in your house? You were disrespectful. You could have just said that. I should have. You could have told me to leave. I should have done that too. But instead, you went for the thing you knew would break me. Yes. Aaron wiped his face against his shoulder. I'm still mad. You should be. I might be mad tomorrow too. I understand. I'm not forgiving you today. I didn't come here expecting you to. Aaron studied him. But I believe you're sorry. Ian closed his eyes as tears rolled down his face. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, motherfucker, you still have to earn my trust back. For the first time since entering the house, Ian gave a faint smile. That is fair. Saliva began collecting in Ian's mouth. Bob leaned beside him and used the suction machine to clear it. Ian's breathing settled once his airway was clear. Aaron watched, but his expression remained serious. You had a normal, able-bodied life, Aaron typed. Now you try to use your owls like it's the worst thing anyone could ever experience. Ian stared at him. I have night terrors, Aaron continued. I used to wake up and forget that my parents were dead, then I had to learn it all over again. Jeff lowered his head. Frank moved closer but remained silent. My legs got worse after the accident, but I already had low muscle tone. Even without the accident with my parents, I probably would have ended up in this chair anyway. Ian's eyes filled with tears, but Aaron was not finished. I messed myself in someone's van and his family used it as an excuse to come after me and my money. I've had seizures. I've lost words. I've woken up not knowing where I was. I've needed Frank to hold me while I screamed for parents who have been dead for years. Frank's eyes watered. You couldn't last 1 second inside my head. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of Ian's suction machine. You're right, Ian typed. Stop saying that like it fixes everything. It doesn't, but you're right that I judged your life by what I could see. I saw the money, Jeff and Frank. I saw that your disability wasn't terminal. I decided that meant your suffering was less than mine. It isn't a competition. I know that now. No, you know it because Fran made you feel guilty. Ian paused. At first, yes, but I wanted to come here because I finally understood something. I was angry that you might survive me, so I acted like surviving meant you weren't suffering. You had years before ALS, Aaron typed. You walked, you talked, you had relationships without people treating you like a child. You got to know who you were before your body changed. Ian did not argue. I've been fighting people's assumptions my whole life. Then the accident took what little control I had left. Bob gently wiped Ian's mouth after removing the suction tube. I kept telling myself that losing a normal life was worse than never having one, Ian typed. And that was cruel. I never said your ALS wasn't horrible. I know. I never said I wanted your life. I know that too. Aaron stared at him. You don't get to use death as a weapon against people who are still trying to live. You're right. And stop agreeing with everything I say, it's getting annoying. A faint smile appeared on Ian's face. I can disagree if that would make you feel better. Not yet, motherfucker. Bob let out a quiet laugh before covering his mouth. Jeff looked carefully at Aaron. You still get the night terrors. Aaron's eyes moved across the screen. Every night. Frank's expression changed. You don't scream anymore, not since we moved. I know, I just stopped screaming. The room became still. Why didn't you tell us? Frank asked. I also lost my voice after the seizure. I barely think about it anymore because I just want to sleep. Jeff frowned. What do you mean you barely think about it? The money was gone, I wanted you guys focused on that. Jeff stared at him. You were having night terrors every night and you hid them because you wanted us focused on the trust. Yes. Frank crouched beside him. The money matters, but not more than you. It pays for my care. We care for you because we love you, Frank said, not because there's money. The trust was supposed to protect me after Mom and Dad died. Jeff nodded. It was. Then it disappeared. I thought if I told you the terrors were still happening, you would stop fighting for the money and start watching me all night. Frank's face tightened. I already watch you. Not every second. No, Frank admitted, but I would rather lose sleep than have you lying there terrified by yourself. When I wake up, I don't always know where I am, Aaron typed. Sometimes I think I'm still in the car, sometimes I hear Mom, sometimes I hear Dad telling me to hold on. Frank placed his hand gently on Aaron's arm. And you don't make any sound. Aaron shook his head. I try, but nothing comes out. The weight of the sentence filled the room. Aaron had screamed through so many nights before the seizure took his voice. Now the terror still came, but nobody heard it. Jeff knelt beside the wheelchair. You should have told us. You had enough. No, Jeff replied, you decided that for us. I didn't want to be another problem. You are not a problem, Frank said immediately. The money was a problem, the court was a problem, the house was a problem, I didn't want my sleep to be another one. Ian watched quietly. I thought everyone ran to you whenever you were scared, Ian typed. I didn't know you had learned how to be scared quietly. Aaron stared at him. I was wrong about you, Ian continued. Yes, you were. Aaron turned back toward Jeff and Frank. I don't want one of you sitting beside my bed all night. We can find another way, Jeff said. A monitor, a light, or an eye-controlled alert, Frank suggested. Something that lets us know you're awake. And you keep fighting for the money. Jeff squeezed his hand. We keep fighting for the trust and we take care of you, we can do both. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. I'm tired. Do you mean right now? Frank asked. Aaron shook his head. All the time. Jeff rested his forehead against Aaron's. Then stop carrying everything alone. Aaron's expression twisted as more emotion rose inside him. I hate that my voice disappeared after that stupid seizure, he typed. His breathing quickened. Fuck you, Mary, fuck you, Mary, fuck Mary. Aaron broke into a heavy sob. His body shook against the supports of his wheelchair. His mouth opened as if he were screaming, but no sound came out. Only strained breaths and broken gasps escaped him. Frank rushed to his side. Aaron, I'm here. Aaron shook his head violently. Jeff knelt in front of him. Look at me. Aaron refused. His eyes remained fixed on the communication screen. She came into my house, Aaron typed. She scared me until I had that seizure, and now she still gets to have her voice. I know, Jeff said. I can't yell at her, I can't call for Frank, I can't scream when I wake up. Frank held his trembling hand. You can still reach us. It isn't the same. I want my own voice back. I want to hear myself laugh. I want to say your names without a machine doing it for me. Frank lowered his head as tears filled his eyes. Jeff reached toward Aaron but stopped. Can I hold you? After several seconds, Aaron selected yes. Jeff carefully wrapped his arms around him. Aaron pressed his face into his brother's shoulder and sobbed silently. I'm sorry, Jeff whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from her. Aaron pulled back enough to use his screen. You tried. Not enough. You came back. Ian watched in silence while Bob kept the suction equipment near him. I complained about losing my voice because ALS took it slowly, Ian typed. I had time to know it was coming. You lost yours in one moment. Aaron's face crumpled again. I woke up after the seizure and tried to ask for Frank. Nothing came out. Frank wiped his face. I remember. I thought I was dead, I couldn't hear myself. Frank placed Aaron's hand against his chest. But I felt you trying to speak. Aaron looked down at his hand. You were right, Ian typed. I couldn't last 1 second inside your head. I don't want you inside my head, Aaron answered. I only wanted you to believe me when I said it hurts. I believe you. Aaron looked back at Jeff. Mary took my money, she took my safety, she took my voice. Jeff shook his head. The seizure took your voice. Mary caused the fear and chaos around it, but she does not own what happens next. That sounds like something a therapist would say. It probably is. Despite the tears, the corner of Aaron's mouth moved slightly. Frank squeezed his hand. She doesn't get to take us too. Aaron typed slowly. I know. Say it again, Jeff said. I just did. I need you to believe it. Aaron stared at both of them. Mary did not take Jeff and Frank. No, Jeff said firmly, she didn't. And she never will, Frank added. Aaron's breathing gradually began to settle. I still hate her. You're allowed to, Jeff replied. I still want to scream. Frank reached for the communication device and turned the volume all the way up. Then type every word, wake up the whole house. Aaron stared at the screen. Fuck you, Mary. The mechanical voice thundered through the room. Everyone jumped except Aaron. He typed it again. Fuck you, Mary. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. Give me 5 minutes. Frank nodded. Take all the time you need. Aaron turned his wheelchair and drove toward the hallway. Ian looked around confused. Are we done? What's going on? Jeff shook his head. He needs to cool off, he'll be back. Did I make it worse? No, this isn't only about you anymore. Talking about the seizure brought everything back. I shouldn't have come. Frank looked sharply at him. Don't do that, don't turn this into you feeling guilty again. Aaron agreed to see you because he wanted to say these things. He needs a break. I didn't know he was still having night terrors. Neither did we, Jeff admitted. He stopped screaming after he lost his voice. We thought the nightmares had improved. Ian closed his eyes. Bob used the suction tube again, clearing the saliva from his mouth. He said I couldn't last 1 second inside his head, Ian typed. He wasn't saying your ALS isn't horrible, Jeff replied. He wanted you to understand that being alive longer doesn't automatically mean his life is easier. I understand now. Understanding means you listen when he comes back, Frank said. Don't explain why you said what you said. I won't. And don't agree with everything only because you feel guilty, Bob added. Talk to him like a person. What am I supposed to say? The real truth, Bob replied, not the cruel version you called the truth before. The truth is that I was scared and took it out on him. Jeff nodded. Start there. A few minutes later, Aaron drove back into the room. His face was wet, but his breathing had settled. You okay? Frank asked. No, but I can finish. Aaron returned to his place across from Ian. I needed 5 minutes because I wanted to yell at Mary, not you. Ian nodded. Don't nod like you understand everything, you don't. You're right, I don't understand everything, but I'm trying to. I don't forgive you yet. I know. But I don't want you to leave. Ian looked surprised. I still have more to say, and then you get to talk. Okay. Aaron adjusted the volume on his device. Nobody interrupts unless one of us needs medical help. Everyone agreed. Aaron looked around the room. You all have sex. Then he looked directly at Ian. Ian, sorry, but I'm not gay. I get it, Ian typed. Unlike you, I never have. The room became quiet. One day at school, my friends were talking about having sex. When they noticed me, they stopped talking about it in front of me. It became awkward. They acted like I wasn't supposed to hear. Frank's expression softened. Even my school aide wasn't any better. She changed the subject every time somebody talked about dating, sex, or relationships around me. What did she say? Jeff asked. She said those conversations weren't appropriate for me. Because you were a student. No, other students were allowed to talk about it. She thought it wasn't appropriate because I was disabled. Ian watched carefully. I understand that part. People started treating me differently when my body got worse. But you had a life before that, Aaron replied. You had relationships, you got to figure out what you liked and who you wanted. Ian did not argue. You both had girlfriends, Aaron said to Jeff and Frank. You both had sex. Ian had Rod, Bob had people too. I had aides telling people not to talk about it around me. Did you ever tell Mom and Dad? Jeff asked. No. Why not? Because I thought they would agree with the aide. They wouldn't have, Jeff said. You don't know that. Jeff opened his mouth, but Aaron continued. Mom and Dad loved me, but they protected me from everything. Sometimes protecting me meant pretending certain parts of life didn't exist. I'm 31 years old, Aaron continued, and I still don't know what it feels like for someone to want me that way. Frank swallowed. That doesn't mean nobody could. Don't give me one of those speeches. I'm not, Frank said. I'm saying people should have allowed you to talk about those things without making you feel ashamed. You had experiences I didn't, Aaron told Ian. You had proof that someone could look at you and see a man. Most people look at me and see a patient, a responsibility, or somebody's disabled little brother. Jeff shook his head. I see you as my brother, but I know you're a grown man. You're getting better at it, you weren't always. No, I was. Aaron turned toward Frank. And you're my caregiver, that makes everything weird. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm saying I don't know how I'm supposed to meet somebody when my entire life happens around the people who take care of me. No one thinks you're asking, Frank assured him. My friends started dating, getting married, and having families. I stayed the disabled friend everyone had to be careful around. That had to be lonely, Ian typed. It still is. I'm sorry I acted like money and caregivers meant you had everything. They keep me alive, Aaron replied. They don't give me a life. Jeff's face tightened. I'm not saying I don't love you guys. I'm saying I want people to see more than what I need help with. I see it now, Ian said. You better, because this is the last time I'm explaining my entire messed up life to you. Ian's mouth lifted slightly. I believe you. And from now on, nobody changes the subject because I mentioned dating or sex. Everyone agreed. Ian looked toward Aaron. You don't know what your parents would have done. Aaron stared at him. My parents hired a private investigator to follow a camp director before they even let me attend camp. The room went quiet. It was a sleepaway camp, Aaron continued. The camp had accessible cabins, trained staff, and a bed for me. They could take care of me. Jeff slowly lowered his head. But when the other campers went to their bunks at night, I waited for Dad to pick me up. Every night, while everyone else got ready for bed together, Dad drove me home, then he dropped me back off every morning. Ian's expression changed. Mom and Dad told the camp it was the only way I was allowed to attend. The camp agreed, Frank asked. Yes. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. They had staff, they had equipment, they had a bed ready for me. I wanted to stay. Jeff looked up. You never told us. I was a kid, Mom and Dad had already decided. Everyone else stayed up talking, Aaron continued. They played games after lights out, they woke up together, they complained about breakfast together. I went home. Ian remained silent. I wasn't really part of sleepaway camp. I was a day camper visiting a sleepaway camp. Frank sat beside him. Did the other kids ask why you left? Yes, I told them I needed more care, but that wasn't true. I needed care, but the camp could provide it. Jeff rubbed his face. Mom and Dad were afraid. They were always afraid. Because they were afraid, I missed things. They loved you, Ian typed. I know they loved me. Stop acting like love means they never hurt me. Ian stopped. They hired someone to investigate the director, Aaron continued. They checked the staff, the medical plans, and the cabins. Everything came back safe. They still made me come home. Jeff leaned forward. I remember Dad saying he couldn't sleep knowing you were somewhere else. Exactly, it wasn't about whether I could handle camp, it was about whether Dad could handle me being away. Frank nodded. That's different. Yes, people always told me I needed them, but sometimes they were the ones who needed me close. Aaron looked toward Ian. So when I say I don't know whether my parents would have let me date, have sex, or live like an adult, this is why. I understand, Ian said. You're starting to understand. They let me attend camp, Aaron continued, but only if I slept at home. They let me have independence only if they could control it. Jeff looked ashamed. They thought they were keeping you safe. They were also teaching me that nowhere was safe without them. The sentence struck Jeff hard. Then they died, Aaron typed. Suddenly I had to live without the people who spent my entire life telling me I couldn't be safe without them. Ian slowly typed. I said you would help your whole life, as if that made everything easier. Sometimes help makes things easier, sometimes it makes you believe you can't survive without it. Jeff looked toward Aaron. I did tell Mom and Dad you wanted to stay. They told me to mind my own business and pick you up. Aaron stared at him. That makes sense. What does? That they knew I wanted to stay, and they made me come home anyway. I should have pushed harder. You were a kid too, they weren't going to listen. I could have refused to pick you up. Then Dad would have come himself. Jeff let out a slow breath because he knew Aaron was right. I remember you being angry in the car, he said. You wouldn't look at me. I wasn't angry at you, I was angry because I could see the cabin lights through the back window. Everyone was still awake and I was leaving. Jeff's eyes watered. Did you ever ask them directly if you could stay? Every year, Dad said the staff didn't know me like he did. Mom said she wouldn't sleep if I wasn't home. Ian typed slowly. So they made their fear your responsibility. Yes. Did you ever tell them again? Aaron asked Jeff. A few times, they said you were too young to understand the risks. The last year, I told Dad the camp had trained nurses and that you were almost an adult. He said being almost an adult didn't make you less vulnerable. It made me old enough to know what I wanted. Yes, Jeff said it did. Aaron looked down. That bed was basically just a changing table then. Jeff's expression fell. They put my name on it, made it ready for me, and I never slept in it. The only time I was on it was when an aide changed me during the day or when I had rest hour. Frank looked down. Everyone else saw it as my bunk, Aaron continued. For me, it was another place where someone took care of my body. I wanted to lie there at night and talk with the other campers. I wanted to complain the mattress was uncomfortable. I wanted someone to tell us to shut up and go to sleep. His eyes filled with tears. Instead, I got changed, put back in my chair and waited for Dad. Jeff rubbed his face. I remember your bag staying under the bed all week. Mom packed it like I was staying. She wanted you prepared. But she knew I was coming home every night. The bunk, the sleeping bag, and the pillow with my name on it were all pretend. It wasn't pretend to you, Frank said. No, to me, it was the life I was supposed to have. Jeff's eyes filled with tears. I remember carrying your sleeping bag back to the car. Every night, Aaron typed, I watched you do it. I thought you were asleep. I was. What were you thinking? That everybody else was going to wake up in the same place they went to sleep. Aaron's device softened. I never got to know what that felt like. That bed had my name on it, but it was never mine. Aaron then looked toward Jeff. Then why did we donate money to the camp every year? Jeff looked down. To make everyone else think we were grateful. Aaron stared at him. What? Mom and Dad wanted people to believe the camp had changed your life. They donated money, took pictures, and thanked the staff publicly. But they wouldn't let me stay there. No. So they used me to make themselves look like great parents. I don't know whether that was the only reason. It was enough of a reason. Frank moved closer but did not touch Aaron. They were grateful the camp included you, Jeff said. They didn't let the camp include all of me. They let me go during the day but didn't trust the staff at night. Then they acted as if I had the same experience as everyone else. Jeff nodded sadly. That's what happened. Dad made speeches about how the camp gave me independence, Aaron typed. Jeff closed his eyes. That wasn't independence, they drove me home every night. That was supervised visiting. The happy parts were still real, Jeff said. You laughed, you made friends, you loved swimming and the campfire. And then I watched everyone walk to the bunks while I waited in the parking lot. Jeff lowered his head. Both things can be true. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what was real anymore. Your feelings were real, Frank said. The fun was real, the anger was real, wanting to stay was real. Ian typed quietly. And adults ignoring what you wanted was real. My parents loved telling people I was strong, Aaron said. Because then they didn't have to admit they were scared, Ian replied. Aaron's expression broke. They made me carry their fear. I hate that my childhood was a fucking lie. Jeff knelt beside him. I'm sorry. You tried to tell them. I should have done more. You were a kid. So were you. Aaron began sobbing. Jeff reached toward him. Can I hold you? Aaron selected yes. Jeff wrapped his arms around him. I wish somebody had let me find out who I was without them, Aaron typed. So do I, Jeff whispered. After a moment, Aaron continued. Every year when the camp had prom, I had to leave before it started. Jeff's expression changed. The next day was always the final day of camp, and Mom and Dad didn't take me back. Frank stared at him. You missed prom in the final day. Every year. I remember Dad saying prom would go too late, Jeff said. He said it would mess up my care routine, but the camp had staff. They could change me, help me eat, and put me to bed. Aaron's breathing grew heavier. My friends dressed up, they took pictures, some danced, some stayed awake all night because it was their last night together. His eyes filled with tears. I went home before the music started. And you didn't get to say goodbye, Frank asked. Mom said there was no point driving me back for only one day. Jeff covered his face. One year my friend called and asked why I didn't say goodbye. Mom told him I was tired. Were you? No, I was crying. The room went silent. I spent the entire year waiting to go back. Then every summer ended with me leaving early while everybody else got one last night. Did you ask to stay for prom? Frank asked. Every year they said I didn't understand how difficult nighttime care was, but I understood. I was the one receiving the care. Aaron looked toward Ian. They made decisions about my body without listening to me. Then they told everybody camp gave me independence. Jeff remembered something. I picked you up one year and you were wearing a dress shirt. I wore it during the day because I knew I wouldn't be there for prom. I wanted one picture where it looked like I went. Jeff's eyes filled with tears. My friends sent me pictures afterward, Aaron continued. Everybody was together except me. I never got a last night. I never got a camp prom. I never woke up on the final morning and complained that camp was over. I'm sorry, Jeff said. You didn't make the rules. But I knew you wanted to stay. You told them, they didn't listen. Aaron leaned against his headrest. The worst part is that I still loved camp. You were allowed to love it, Frank said. And hate what they took from me. Yes, both can be true. Aaron stared toward the floor. I just wish one year I had heard the music start. Jeff looked confused. Did you leave before every evening activity? Just prom, Aaron replied, but they packed my lunch every day. Wasn't food included? Frank asked. Yes, when everyone else had pizza, I had rice and beans from home. Jeff stared at him. Every time. Aaron nodded. My counselor, the one assigned to help me, was shocked. He apologized and said, "Your parents are nuts." Jeff covered his mouth, uncertain whether he wanted to laugh or cry. He wasn't trying to be mean, Aaron continued. He couldn't understand why they sent me to camp but wouldn't let me eat the same food as everybody else. Was there a medical reason? Frank asked. An allergy or special diet? No, they didn't trust the camp food. It was pizza, not poison, Jeff muttered. My counselor tried to trade with me once, Aaron said. Did you? No, Mom counted everything in my lunchbox. She wanted to know exactly how much I ate. Jeff's face fell. I couldn't stay overnight, I couldn't go to prom, I couldn't eat the food, but everyone kept calling it independence. They let you attend but controlled every part they could from home, Jeff said. Yes. I remember watching everyone reach for pizza while my counselor opened my container. Other campers offered me some, but my counselor said he couldn't give it to me because my parents had left written instructions. Jeff shook his head. I didn't know that. They wrote everything down: what I ate, when I used the bathroom, how long I could be outside, which activities I could do. Ian looked toward Jeff. That sounds less like camp and more like a medical appointment. Sometimes it felt like one, Aaron replied. Did your counselor ever tell your parents what he thought? Frank asked. Not the part about them being nuts, but he told them I could eat the camp meals and stay overnight safely. Dad said he was only a college kid and didn't understand my needs. My counselor knew my needs, Aaron continued. He helped me every day. But your parents believed loving you meant they knew better than everyone, Ian typed. Yes. Aaron looked toward Jeff. I wanted pizza. You should have had the pizza. And I wanted prom. You should have had that too. My counselor was right. About what? My parents were nuts. Then Aaron's expression became more serious. The head counselor complained to the camp director every year. He said my parents weren't giving me enough space. Jeff's face hardened. The director knew. Aaron nodded. The director said, I know, but his parents are our top donors. Keep Aaron happy. The room fell silent. They knew you wanted more freedom and ignored it because of the donations, Frank asked. Yes. So the camp protected the money instead of protecting your independence, Ian typed. Exactly. That's why nobody pushed back, Jeff said. The counselors tried. They said I could stay overnight, eat the camp food, and attend prom, but the director wouldn't risk upsetting Mom and Dad. They wanted the checks, Frank muttered. And they used me in camp pictures, Aaron said. Every donation letter had pictures of disabled campers smiling. Sometimes I was in them. Jeff looked sick. Mom and Dad probably thought they were supporting a place that helped you. They were supporting a place that agreed with them. Aaron's device became louder. The camp knew I wanted to stay. They knew my parents controlled everything. They knew I was missing prom. As long as I smiled during the day, they could pretend I was happy. Did you tell the director yourself? Jeff asked. One year I told him I wanted to sleep in my bunk. What did he say? He said maybe next summer. Frank closed his eyes. Did he say that every year? Yes, next summer never came. Ian looked down. I thought money gave you power. It gave my parents power, not me. Jeff reached for Aaron's hand. The trust and donations were supposed to help you. But everybody talked to the people controlling the money instead of me. They treated your parents like the customers, Frank said. And treated me like the product. The word struck everyone. What would have made you happy? Frank asked. Pizza, prom, one night in my own bunk. Jeff lowered his head. 3 simple things. They had enough money to give the camp anything it wanted, Aaron typed. but nobody gave me space. Aaron paused, then continued. I remember lying in bed during rest hour. The director told my counselor to get me up. Why? Ian asked. So I could speak with donors. Jeff's expression hardened. They brought people through camp and introduced me as a success story. They wanted me smiling, awake, and ready whenever donors arrived. What did they make you say? Ian asked. They wanted me to talk about how much I loved sleeping there and how camp gave me the same experience as everyone else. But you didn't sleep there, Jeff said. I know, they told me not to explain the pickup arrangement because it would confuse people. Confuse them or expose the truth? Frank asked. Expose the truth. The room became silent. I had to act as if I slept in that bed every night, Aaron continued. I talked about the bunks, the counselors, and the full camp experience as if I were a normal sleepaway camper. They made you lie, Ian said. Yes, they used my picture and my story to raise money. They wanted donors to believe the camp gave disabled kids complete independence. Did your counselor know? Jeff asked. Yes, he hated it. After the donors left one time, he apologized and said, you shouldn't have to perform being happy for adults with money. He was right, Frank said. I was tired, I wanted to stay in bed, but the director said the donors needed to meet me. Ian's eyes moved across his screen. Because your parents were major donors and you made the camp look successful. Yes, I wasn't treated like a camper when decisions were made, but when money was involved, I became the perfect camper. They used you, Jeff said. Yes. I wish I had known about the donor meetings. What would you have done? I would have told them the truth. Mom and Dad would have told you to mind your business again. Jeff went quiet because Aaron was probably right. One donor told me I was lucky to have a place where I could finally be independent, Aaron said. I smiled and agreed. What did you really want to say? Frank asked. That Dad would be waiting in the parking lot before bedtime, that the bed behind me was only used for rest hour and changing me, that the story they were donating to wasn't real. Jeff looked toward Billy, who had joined them with more boxes of old records. We were already rich, Jeff said. Why did Mom and Dad care so much about the donations? Billy leaned back. Because they used the camp donations as a tax write-off, Aaron being there was icing on the cake. Aaron stared at him. So they donated money, lowered their taxes, and used me to make themselves look generous. Billy hesitated. I'm not saying they never cared about the camp. That isn't what I asked. Yes, Billy admitted, the donations benefited them financially. Aaron looked toward Jeff. Did you know? Not when we were kids, I found some paperwork after they died. And you never told me. I didn't understand what it meant at first. You understood enough to know they were writing off donations to a camp that made me lie. I knew they claimed the donations, I didn't know the camp was making you perform. Billy leaned forward. Your parents donated enough that the camp treated them like they couldn't be challenged. And I was the proof their money was helping disabled kids, Aaron typed. Yes. The disabled kid who wasn't allowed to eat the food, sleep in the bunk, or attend prom. Nobody answered. Aaron gave a bitter laugh. The money was the cake, I was the picture they put on top. Jeff's eyes filled with tears. You were never a prop to me. To you, maybe not, but to the camp I was a story, to the donors I was inspiration, to Mom and Dad I was proof they were good parents. What would you have wanted them to tell the donors? Ian asked. The truth, that I loved camp, that I had friends there, and that the adults were too afraid of losing money or control to let me fully belong. Jeff lowered his head. They could have told donors that disabled kids need independence even when their families are scared, Aaron continued. That would have been a real success story, Frank said. But real stories make rich people uncomfortable. Aaron turned toward Jeff. What happened to the donation letters and pictures? They're in storage. Get them, I want to see every time they used my face, and I want the tax records. Billy looked surprised. Aaron. No, if my childhood was used as a business expense, I want to know exactly how much it was worth. Jeff and Billy opened the old financial boxes and began sorting through them. After several minutes, Jeff froze, staring at a document. Holy shit. Billy leaned forward. What? Jeff looked up slowly. $64 billion. Everyone in the room froze. Aaron's eyes moved across his screen. That was what the trust had. Jeff stared at the page. No, that can't be right. It is. Billy stood and moved beside him. Let me see. He took the papers and read through them. This isn't only the original settlement, Billy said. It includes investments, properties, company shares, and decades of growth. Ian's eyes widened. Your trust had $64 billion. Yes. Frank's face tightened. And now it's gone. Aaron stared ahead. That's why Mary wanted control. Jeff shook his head repeatedly. I thought the trust was worth $40 million. That's what Mom and Dad always told me. They lied to you too. Jeff examined another section. There were multiple trusts. The $40 million was only the medical care account. And the rest? The rest was hidden behind companies, charities, and investment accounts. Billy looked toward Aaron. Your parents didn't only donate to the camp for tax deductions, they used charities to move money. So camp was part of it. It appears that way. They used me to hide billions. Jeff dropped into a chair. I don't know how much you understood as a child, but legally, most of this appears to have been created for your benefit. But they controlled it. Yes. And after they died, you controlled it. Jeff's face filled with shame. I controlled the account I knew about. I swear I never knew there was anything close to this. Frank looked at the records. Mary knew. Billy nodded. She had to know something. Nobody brings 30 officers to a house over an ordinary family disagreement. Jeff looked down. The lawsuit wasn't about hurt feelings. It was always about the money, Aaron replied. There are transfers made days before Mary came to the house, Jeff said. Billy pointed to several entries. These companies have different names, but the same addresses keep appearing. Where did the money go? Frank asked. It was divided so many times that it would be nearly impossible for one person to follow without professional help. Aaron began typing. They thought I couldn't understand because I'm disabled, because I can't speak, because everyone sees Frank changing me and Jeff handling the money and thinks I know nothing. You knew something was wrong, Frank said. I knew Mom and Dad were hiding things. How? Jeff asked. I heard them arguing once. Dad said the money had to stay protected from me. You were a child. Mom said it wasn't really mine until I proved I could handle it. They never planned to give me control. Billy handed the papers back to Jeff. They may have believed they were protecting Aaron. But $64 billion creates power. People do terrible things to keep that power. Aaron looked toward Ian. You thought I was a spoiled trust fund kid. I was wrong. I was the reason the trust existed, but I never controlled $1. You weren't rich, Ian typed. The people around you were rich because of you. Aaron's face crumpled. That is worse. Jeff moved beside him. I'm going to find out where every dollar went. No more deciding without me. You're right, we do it together. Every meeting. Yes. Every document. Yes. And nobody speaks for me unless I ask. Jeff placed the papers on Aaron's tray. These are yours. Aaron stared at the pages. My whole life people said I needed them, they needed me. As Jeff sorted through the photographs mixed with the financial records, Aaron noticed one picture. Jeff, the picture. Jeff picked it up and froze. Why is Mom with Mary in this picture? Billy moved closer. Let me see. The photograph showed their mother standing beside Mary at a formal camp fundraiser. Both women smiled beneath a banner bearing the camp's name. Turn it over, Aaron typed. Jeff flipped it. A handwritten message was on the back. Thank you, Mary, for helping us protect Aaron's future. The room went silent. This was taken years before the van incident, Billy said. So Mary didn't appear after the accident, Aaron typed. No, Jeff replied. Jeff searched through the remaining photographs. Mary is in this one too. In the second photograph, Mary sat at the same table as Aaron's parents and the camp director. They all knew one another, Aaron said. Billy nodded. Your parents, Mary and the camp director, were connected long before any of this. Jeff found records of payments to a company. MW Family Protection Services, he read. Mary's initials, Aaron typed. This company received money from one of the trusts every year, Billy said. Jeff read the payment description. Risk management and beneficiary supervision. Aaron stared at him. Beneficiary supervision. You were the beneficiary, Billy said quietly. They paid Mary to watch me. It looks as if she advised Mom and Dad about your care, finances, and legal protection, Jeff answered. Mary wasn't a stranger defending her family, Frank said. She already knew about Aaron's trust. And she knew how his parents controlled it, Billy added. Aaron stared at the photograph. She knew I never slept at camp, she knew I was used for donors, she knew my parents didn't trust anybody with me. She might have helped them create that system, Jeff said. Aaron's breathing became uneven. Ian began typing. Could Mary have known about all 64 billion? If she was advising the family and receiving trust payments, she may have known more than Jeff, Billy replied. She knew where the money was hidden, Jeff said. And after Mom and Dad died, she waited, Aaron typed. Until the van incident gave her family a reason to come after you, Frank said. Aaron stared at the image of his mother smiling beside Mary. I thought Mary destroyed what my parents built. What if she helped build it? Jeff found a letter bearing Mary's signature. It says your parents were concerned you might eventually demand control of the trust. How old was I? 16. Aaron gave a bitter laugh. I was worried about getting pizza at camp, and they were worried I would take control of my own money. Mary recommended creating additional companies and appointing outside protectors, Jeff continued, so no court could easily give you direct control. Read the last part, Aaron demanded. Jeff hesitated. Read it. Aaron must always believe the structure exists solely for his safety. His awareness of the full estate could create unnecessary resistance. They wanted me ignorant, Aaron typed. Yes. They didn't believe I was incapable of understanding. No, Jeff said quietly, they were afraid you would understand. Aaron stared at the photograph. My mother smiled beside the woman who eventually took everything from me. Frank placed a hand on his shoulder. Mary didn't find a weak disabled man with a trust, Aaron typed. She helped create one. Billy continued searching. I found another note. It begins, Dear Pat. Jeff looked up sharply. Our mom wrote that. Billy nodded and began reading. Dear Pat, Rick and I wanted a second child. Jeff will be a wonderful older brother. Billy stopped. His face went pale. What? Jeff asked. Keep reading. Billy stared at the page. Oh my God. Aaron's eyes moved across the screen. What does it say? Billy looked between the brothers. Aaron, I think you were adopted. The room went silent. The note says Mary and Rod were your birth parents. Aaron stared at him. That isn't funny, I just met you. I'm not joking, Billy said. Aaron looked toward Jeff. Tell him to stop. Jeff took the note and read it. His hands began to shake. Jeff, Aaron typed. It says Mom and Dad arranged a private adoption shortly after you were born. No. Aaron. No. His device repeated the word at full volume. No. Frank placed his hand on Aaron's arm, but Aaron pulled away as much as he could. Mary is not my mother. She gave birth to you, Billy said carefully. That does not make her my mother. No, Jeff said immediately, it doesn't. And Rod. He was listed as your biological father. The man who hated disabled people, the man who said disability was a punishment. Nobody answered. Read the note, Aaron demanded. Jeff looked down. Mary and Rod believe Aaron will require lifelong care. They do not feel equipped to provide it. Rick and I have the resources, and after meeting him, we know he belongs with us. Aaron's face crumpled. We have agreed that Mary and Rod will not be part of Aaron's life. They will receive financial compensation and sign away all parental rights. They were paid, Frank asked. Billy searched the attached records. There's a payment. How much? $5 million. Aaron stared at him. They sold me. Jeff shook his head. Mom and Dad adopted you. Mary and Rod took money. Yes. They sold me. Nobody could argue. She knew, Aaron typed. Mary knew who I was the whole time. She came into my house knowing she gave birth to me. She threatened you while knowing you were her biological son, Jeff said. She took my money. She may have believed some of it belonged to her, Billy said. It didn't, she gave up every right to me. Aaron's device grew louder. She signed papers, took $5 million and walked away. Jeff knelt beside him. Mom and Dad raised you, they loved you. And they lied to me, they never told me I was adopted, they let me believe we had the same parents. Jeff's eyes filled with tears. You are still my brother. That isn't what I asked. No, Jeff admitted, they never told you. Billy looked through more documents. Mary may have believed giving birth to you entitled her to some of the trust. She gave me away because I was disabled. Then she stayed connected to Mom and Dad, learned about the trust and helped stop me from controlling it. That's what the records suggest. After my parents died, she came back for the money. Frank moved closer. Aaron's face collapsed. She didn't want me. Jeff wrapped his arms around him. She never wanted me, Aaron repeated. Maybe she didn't, Jeff said, but I do. You just found out I'm not really your brother. Jeff pulled back and looked directly into his eyes. Don't ever say that, you are my brother, you have always been my brother. A piece of paper and two terrible people do not change that. Then why does it feel like my whole family disappeared again? Because the truth changed, Jeff said, resting his forehead against Aaron's, but I didn't. Billy looked down at another page. There's more. Jeff stared at him. What now? Wendy was your twin. Aaron froze. What? It says Wendy was twin A. And I was twin B. Billy nodded slowly. Yes. That isn't possible. Jeff grabbed the paperwork and read it twice. It's true. The woman who sued me for $40 million was my sister. Your twin sister, Billy said. The woman who said I destroyed her family. Yes. She knew. Jeff found another letter. It says Mary and Rod decided to keep Wendy. Because of Aaron's medical needs, they believed separating the twins would provide both children with better futures. They kept her. Nobody answered. They kept the healthy twin and gave away the disabled one. Frank lowered his head. They looked at both Bobbies and decided she was worth keeping. That says everything about them and nothing about your worth, Jeff said. Did Wendy know? Billy kept searching. Jeff found another letter. This one is from Mary to Wendy. It's dated when Wendy was 18. Read it. There is something you must understand about Aaron. He was born with you. But he was placed with another family because his condition would have consumed our lives. Aaron let out a broken gasp. You should never feel guilty for receiving the life we could not give both of you. So Wendy knew, Aaron typed. Since she was 18 at least, Billy said. She knew I was her twin when she came after me. She knew when she demanded my money. She knew when she called me a liar. Yes. She knew Mary gave me away because I was disabled and she still helped her take everything from me. Ian began typing. She may have been taught to see you that way. Aaron turned sharply toward him. She was an adult when she sued me. Ian stopped. She had years to find me, Aaron continued, years to tell me the truth. Billy found records showing payments to Wendy from one of Mary's companies. How much? Aaron asked. Nearly $8 million over several years. They paid her too. It might have been money for keeping quiet, Jeff said. My entire biological family got paid except me. The trust was supposed to belong to you, Frank replied. But everybody else lived from it. Aaron looked toward Jeff. My parents bought me, Mary and Rod sold me, Wendy was paid to stay quiet, the camp used me for donations, Mom and Dad used me for tax deductions. His eyes filled with rage. And everyone called it love. I loved you, Jeff said, I still love you. You didn't know, you weren't paid to be my brother. Never. Aaron looked toward Frank. And you. I was originally paid to care for you, Frank said. But I stayed because you became family. If every dollar disappeared forever, I would still be here. Aaron's breathing began to settle. He looked at the birth record on his tray. Twin A. Wendy. Twin B, Aaron. I spent my entire life wishing I had someone who understood what it was like to be me, Aaron typed. My twin was alive the whole time and she chose the money. Aaron turned toward Ian. Ian, do you hear this? Ian did not answer. Aaron waited. Ian. Billy leaned closer to Ian's wheelchair. Ian, wake up. Ian's eyes remained closed, his chest was not moving. Billy's expression changed instantly. Frank, call 911, Ian, wake up, he isn't breathing. Frank grabbed his phone while Bob unlocked Ian's wheelchair supports. Jeff rushed to clear the floor. Get him out of the chair, Billy shouted. Bob and Billy carefully lowered Ian to the ground. Frank placed the call on speaker. 911, what is your emergency? My friend isn't breathing, Frank said. He has ALS, he's unconscious. The dispatcher began giving instructions. Bob checked Ian's mouth and airway while Billy searched for a pulse. I can't feel one. Begin compressions, the dispatcher ordered. Billy placed his hands in the center of Ian's chest and began pressing hard and fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bob prepared Ian's breathing equipment. Aaron sat frozen. What happened? His device asked. Nobody answered. Ian. Billy continued compressions. Come on, Ian, don't do this. Bob gave breaths through the mask. Jeff moved beside Aaron and blocked part of his view. Move, Aaron typed. Aaron. Move. Jeff stepped aside. Aaron watched Ian lying motionless on the floor. This is my fault. No, it isn't, Frank said while speaking to the dispatcher. I kept yelling at him. This isn't because of you, Jeff said firmly. I said he was going to die, I kept talking about it. Billy looked up for only a second. Aaron, stop, this is Ian's illness, not you. Sirens grew louder outside. Help is coming, the dispatcher said. Continue compressions. Billy kept counting. Bob gave more breaths. Ian, wake up, Aaron's device pleaded. You didn't finish talking. Paramedics rushed through the door with medical bags and a defibrillator. He stopped breathing, Billy said. ALS, no pulse. They took over, one attached pads to Ian's chest while another continued compressions. Charging. Everyone stepped back. Clear. Ian's body jerked as the shock was delivered. Aaron flinched. No rhythm, resume compressions. Billy backed away, his hands shaking. Bob stood beside him crying. Aaron's eyes remained fixed on Ian. Tell him I forgive him, Aaron typed. Jeff looked at him. Aaron. Tell him now. Jeff knelt near Ian. Ian, Aaron says he forgives you. And tell him I'm sorry for what I said. Aaron says he's sorry, he wants you to wake up. The paramedic checked the monitor. I have a pulse. Billy nearly collapsed against Bob. We have a pulse, the paramedic repeated. He still isn't breathing on his own, we need to move. They placed Ian on a stretcher and connected him to a breathing bag. Aaron drove his chair forward. Can I go? One person can ride with him, a paramedic said. Bob stepped forward. I'm going. Aaron stared at Ian. Tell him I didn't want this to be the last time I saw him. Bob crouched beside Aaron. It won't be. You don't know that. No, Bob admitted, I don't. The ambulance doors closed, and the vehicle pulled away with its sirens screaming. Aaron's body began shaking. Fuck my life, man, he typed. What the fuck? The mechanical voice sounded calm, but Aaron was falling apart. His mouth opened as if he were screaming, no sound came out. Frank wrapped an arm around him. Aaron, breathe. I can't do this. Yes, you can, Jeff said. No, my parents are dead, my money is gone. Mary is my biological mother. Wendy is my twin, and now Ian might die in my house after I told him he was going to die. You didn't cause this, Frank said. I forgave him because he stopped breathing. You were already listening to him, Jeff replied. You let him come here, you gave him a chance before this happened. I wanted more time to be mad. You were allowed to be mad. I wanted to forgive him when I was ready, not because he was dying on the floor. That wasn't fair to you, Frank said. Nothing is fair. No, Frank replied, it is. I spent today finding out my childhood was fake, my parents lied, my biological family used me, and my twin chose money. Now Ian could be dead. He had a pulse when they took him, Jeff said. That doesn't mean he'll wake up. I know. Aaron sobbed silently. I hate that I can't scream. Jeff held his hands. Then don't hold it inside. Frank turned the communication device to full volume. Fuck MY life, the device thundered. Aaron typed it again. Fuck MY life. Fuck Mary. Fuck WNDY. Then another sentence appeared. And Ian better not fucking die. Aaron broke into another heavy sob. Frank's phone rang. Everyone froze. The screen showed Bob's name. Answer it, Aaron typed. Frank placed the call on speaker. Bob. They're working on him, Bob said from the hospital. Is he alive, Aaron typed. Frank repeated the question. Yes, he's alive. Aaron's body went limp with relief. But he's on a ventilator, Bob continued. The doctors don't know whether he'll wake up. Tell him I forgive him, Aaron typed. Aaron wants you to tell Ian again that he forgives him, Frank said. I will. And tell him he still owes me a real argument. Despite everything, Bob gave a broken laugh. I'll tell him that too. The call ended. He's alive, Aaron typed. He's alive, Jeff confirmed. That has to be enough right now. For right now it is, Frank said. Aaron stared toward the empty place where Ian's wheelchair had been. This can't be my life right now. Jeff stayed beside him. I know. No, you don't. You're right, I don't know what this feels like. In one day I found out my childhood was a lie, my parents hid who I was, Mary gave birth to me, Wendy is my twin, and Ian stopped breathing in front of me. This sounds like a fucked up movie. But it's happening to you, Frank said. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel first. You don't have to choose, Jeff replied. You can be angry, scared, and confused at the same time. I was yelling at him. You were telling him the truth, Frank said. I called him a motherfucker. He called you worse before, Frank replied with a sad smile. Aaron almost smiled, but his face collapsed again. What if the last thing he remembers is me being angry? He also heard you forgive him, Jeff said. You keep saying that. Because it matters. I want to go to the hospital. Frank glanced at Jeff. You're exhausted. I don't care. Your body needs rest, Jeff said. Don't start deciding for me again. Jeff stopped immediately. You're right. I want to see Ian even if he can't talk, even if he can't wake up. Then we'll go, Frank said. Jeff nodded. Aaron looked at the documents scattered across the room. Leave those here, I don't care about the money tonight. Frank packed Aaron's communication device charger and the supplies he might need. You ready? He asked. No, Aaron typed, but go before I lose somebody else. At the hospital, Bob stood near the room door, his face soaked with tears. His family is here to say goodbye. He said. Aaron's eyes shot toward his screen. Bob, shut the fuck up, he's alive. Bob's mouth trembled. He was. Aaron froze. Bob, fuck you, he's alive. Aaron. He had a pulse when they took him, you called and said he was alive. He was alive then. No, go back in there and wake him up. Frank moved beside the wheelchair. Aaron. Don't. Jeff stared through the glass window. Inside, Ian lay still, the ventilator had been disconnected. Fran stood beside the bed holding Ian's hand. Linda was nearby, crying. Why did they turn the machine off? Aaron typed. The doctor said his heart stopped again, Bob answered. They worked on him but he didn't come back. No. I'm sorry. No. The device repeated it louder. No. Aaron drove toward the door. Move, he told Frank. Let me open it. I said move. Frank stepped aside and pushed the door open. The room became silent as Aaron entered. Fran looked up, her eyes swollen and red. Aaron stopped beside Ian. Ian. There was no answer. Wake up, motherfucker. Nothing. You still owe me an argument. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. You came to my house to apologize, you don't get to leave before I forgive you properly. Jeff covered his mouth. I was still mad, Aaron typed. I wanted more time to be mad at you. Bob stood behind him, shaking. Aaron looked toward Bob. You said he was alive. He was when I called. You should have kept him alive. Bob's face collapsed. I tried. Aaron stared at him. I know. Then Aaron turned back toward Ian. I forgive you for what you said about Jeff and Frank. I forgive you for acting like your pain was worse than mine. His mouth opened as if he were screaming. I forgive you, so wake the fuck up and hear me say it. Ian remained still. You said you were scared to die, Aaron typed. I was supposed to tell you that you didn't have to be strong, but I spent the whole time yelling about myself. He needed to hear it, Fran said. He came because he wanted to listen to you. He understood before this happened. I didn't want this. I didn't want you to die because I said you were dying. You didn't cause it, Jeff said. It feels like I did. Ian's ALS caused this, Bob said. Not you, not the argument. Aaron looked toward Ian's hand. Can I touch him? Fran nodded. Frank helped position Aaron's hand over Ian. Ian's skin was still warm. That made everything worse. You were wrong about me, Aaron typed. I could survive without Jeff and Frank. Jeff's face tightened. But I don't want to. Aaron stared at Ian. And you were wrong about yourself. You weren't only your ALS. You were still an asshole, but you were my friend. Then his eyes moved rapidly across the screen. Ian, wake up. Nothing happened. Ian, wake up. The device's volume filled the room. Wake the fuck up, motherfucker, you asshole, wake the fuck up. Aaron broke into a loud, broken sob. The sound was rough and strained, not his former voice, but grief forced every breath out of him. Frank held his shoulders steady. Aaron, I've got you. Wake him up. Jeff knelt beside him. I wish I could. Then get the doctor. The doctors tried everything. Not everything, he was alive, he was sitting in my house. Bob covered his face and sobbed. Tell him to wake up, Bob. Bob stepped beside the bed. Ian, he whispered, Aaron wants you to wake up. Don't whisper, yell ATHIM. Bob's face collapsed. Ian, wake up. The room fell silent again. Ian did not move. You came to apologize, Aaron typed. You don't get to die after one conversation. I wasn't finished being mad at you. I wasn't finished forgiving you. Frank wrapped an arm around Aaron's chest. You said you were scared. I should have told you I was scared too. You told him, Jeff said. Not enough. You gave him the truth. Aaron looked at his brother. I gave him pain. You gave him the chance to understand you, and he did. Aaron turned back toward Ian. Then why did he leave? Nobody answered. Aaron looked down at Ian's hand beneath his own. I forgive you, you stupid asshole. He waited as though the words might bring Ian back. Please wake up. Ian remained still. Aaron's sobs grew louder until he could barely focus on the communication screen. Frank looked toward Fran and Linda. I'm sorry for your loss, he said quietly. Linda wiped her face but could not answer. Fran gave a small nod while keeping one hand on Ian's arm. Jeff placed his hand on the back of Aaron's wheelchair. Aaron, let go, we need to give them space. Aaron looked down at his hand, still resting over Ian's. For several seconds he did not move. Then he allowed Frank to lift his hand away from Ian and place it back on his tray. Aaron did not argue. He did not type anything. He stared at Ian one final time. Jeff took control of the wheelchair and began guiding Aaron toward the door. Normally, Aaron hated when someone else drove his chair. He would complain, curse, or demand control back. This time he allowed it. His eyes remained fixed on Ian until the doorway blocked his view. Bob followed them into the hallway. Aaron looked at him but did not type. Bob crouched beside the chair. He heard you. You don't know that. No, Bob admitted, but I believe he did. I wanted to forgive him while he was awake. He knew you came back, he knew you were willing to talk, that mattered. Jeff pushed the wheelchair slowly down the hallway. I called him an asshole, Aaron typed. He was an asshole sometimes, Frank said. Aaron gave a small, broken laugh that immediately became another sob. He would have agreed with you. I know, Frank replied. When they reached the waiting area, Jeff stopped. Do you want control of your chair back? Aaron stared at the joystick and shook his head. No, you drive. Jeff looked surprised but did not question him. Okay. I'm tired. We'll take you home, Frank said. I don't want to go home. Where do you want to go? Jeff asked. Aaron looked back toward Ian's room. I don't know. Then we don't have to decide right now. Linda's crying could be heard through the doorway. Aaron closed his eyes. Let his family have him now, I had my time with him. Jeff resumed driving toward the elevator. Aaron did not look back again. He was afraid that if he did, he would never be able to leave. Near the elevator, Aaron's eyes moved slowly across the communication screen. Jeff, don't say anything, just hug me for a few minutes. Jeff immediately stepped in front of the wheelchair. He did not tell Aaron everything would be okay. He did not remind him Ian had hurt him. He did not try to explain death, forgiveness, or grief. He leaned down and wrapped both arms around his brother. Aaron rested his head against Jeff's chest. His body shook as another sob escaped him. Jeff held him around the chair supports without hurting him. Frank stood nearby and gave them space. Aaron's communication device remained silent. For once, he did not need it. Jeff rested his cheek on the top of Aaron's head and closed his eyes. Aaron clutched weakly at his shirt. Minutes passed in the hospital waiting room. Nurses and visitors walked by, but neither brother paid attention. Aaron's breathing slowly began to settle. Then his eyes moved toward the screen. Worst day of my fucking life. Jeff tightened his arms. I found out everything was a lie, Aaron typed. Then Ian died before I could understand any of it. Frank moved closer but waited. I was mad at him this morning. You were allowed to be, Jeff said quietly. I know, but now it feels stupid. It wasn't stupid, he hurt you. And then he came to say sorry. I made him listen to my entire life. He wanted to listen, Jeff said. I thought we would finish the conversation. So did he, Frank replied. I forgave him after he couldn't hear me. You started forgiving him when you invited him back, Jeff said. I hate today, I hate Mary, I hate Wendy, I hate that Ian is dead. I know, Jeff said, his voice breaking. I don't want to be strong. Then don't be. Aaron looked toward him. You said you wouldn't talk. Jeff gave a small sad smile. Sorry. Aaron rested his head against him again. Just keep holding me. Jeff said nothing else. Later, as they prepared to leave the hospital, Aaron looked toward both men. Jeff, Frank, stay in my room tonight. We will, Jeff replied. All night. All night, Frank promised. I don't want to wake up alone. You won't, Jeff said. Don't put me to bed and leave when you think I'm asleep. We won't. We'll bring chairs into your room, Frank said. One of us will be beside the bed the entire time. Aaron stared at them. What if I have a night terror and can't make noise? We'll keep the monitor close and check you, Frank said. No monitor only, I want you there. We'll be there, Frank repeated. During the drive home, Aaron stared out the window without typing. Frank sat beside him in the back and kept one hand on Aaron's arm. When they reached the house, Jeff drove Aaron directly into the bedroom. Frank prepared the bed while Jeff helped remove Aaron's coat and position the lift. Normally, Aaron would argue through every step. Tonight he remained quiet. They changed him, settled him beneath the blankets, and positioned pillows around his legs to protect his weak muscles. Jeff dragged a chair beside the bed. Frank placed another on the opposite side. Aaron watched them. You're really staying? Yes, Jeff said. Even if I fall asleep? Yes. Even if I wake up crying? Especially then, Frank replied. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to dream about Ian on the floor. You might, Jeff said honestly. Aaron's face tightened. But when you wake up, we'll be here. You won't have to figure out where you are by yourself, Frank added. I might forget he died. Neither man answered immediately. What do you tell me if I ask? Aaron typed. The truth, Jeff said. But gently, Frank added. Don't make me remember alone. We won't. Leave my communication device on. Frank plugged it into the charger and positioned it where Aaron's eyes could reach the screen. It stays on. Aaron's breathing slowly settled. Frank turned off the overhead light, leaving the bedside lamp glowing. Don't leave, Aaron typed. Jeff squeezed his hand. We're not going anywhere. Frank leaned back in his chair. Get some sleep, we've got you. Aaron closed his eyes. A few minutes later, the device spoke quietly. Thank you. The night terror came several hours later. Aaron's body suddenly tensed beneath the blankets. His legs jerked against the pillows and his breathing became fast and uneven. Frank woke immediately. He knew the smallest signs, the change in Aaron's breathing, the movement beneath his eyelids, and the way his hand tightened when he was trapped inside a nightmare. "Aaron," Frank said softly, "you're home." Aaron's eyes opened, but he did not seem to see the bedroom. His mouth opened as he tried to scream, yet no voice came out. Frank reached over and held his hand. "It's Frank, you're in your room, Jeff is here too." Jeff woke on the other side. "What happened?" "Night terror," Frank whispered, "give him a second." Aaron's eyes searched the darkness in panic. Frank did what he had always done. He kept his voice calm, reminded Aaron where he was, and named the things around him. "You're in your bed, your communication device is beside you, the lamp is on, I'm holding your hand." Aaron's breathing remained ragged. "You're not in the car," Frank continued. "The accident is over, you're safe at home." Aaron tried to focus on the screen, but his eyes could not control the tracker. "That's okay, you don't have to type yet." Frank placed Aaron's hand against his chest so he could feel the steady breathing. "Follow me, slow breath in." Frank inhaled. "Now let it out." Aaron's first attempt became a broken gasp. "That's okay, try again." Jeff moved closer but stayed quiet, allowing Frank to guide him. Aaron took another breath. Then another. His body gradually stopped shaking. Frank wiped the tears from his face. "There you go, you're coming back." Aaron's eyes finally focused on him. Frank gave a faint smile. "Hi." Aaron looked toward Jeff, then back at Frank. "We're both still here," Jeff said. Frank repositioned the communication screen. Aaron slowly typed. Ian was on the floor again. "I know," Frank said. "I was yelling at him. It was a dream. But he still died." Frank did not lie. "Yes." Aaron's eyes filled with tears again. "I forgot, then I remembered." Jeff moved beside the bed. "You didn't remember alone, you asked us to stay and we stayed." Aaron looked toward them. "I tried to scream." Frank nodded. "I heard you without the sound." "How?" "I know you," Frank said. "I know what your body does when you're scared." Aaron looked between them. "Don't go back to sleep in the chairs." "What do you mean?" Jeff asked. "Come closer." Frank moved his chair until it touched the bed. Jeff did the same from the other side. Aaron looked toward Frank. "Keep holding my hand." "I will." Then Aaron looked toward Jeff. "You too." Jeff took his other hand. Aaron closed his eyes again, but his grip stayed tight around both men. Frank remained awake, watching Aaron's breathing until it became steady. It was the same thing he had done through countless night terrors, grounding Aaron, reminding him where he was and waiting until the nightmare released its hold. The only difference was that Jeff was there too. When Aaron finally fell asleep again, one brother held each hand.